Happy New Year, Mr Speaker. Number 14.
Universal credit spends £2 billion more than the system it replaces. It simplifies the old system and makes work pay. It is already transforming lives across the country.
Mary Craig.
Oh, what an extraordinary answer. Over 10% of children in the UK live in severely food insecure households. That's the highest number in the European Union. So however and whenever the rollout of universal credit starts, begins, enters into its full flood, will the Minister work with the Office for National Statistics to measure the extent of childhood food poverty before and after the introduction of universal credit?
I thank the honourable member, and there is a recognition, I think, from all of us that we need better quality statistics, and various groups are working on alternatives, and we as a government will take those very seriously. But as has already been mentioned, there are 300,000 fewer children in absolute poverty. And on the specific issue of food insecurity, within the last 5 years alone, that has almost halved down to 5.4%, which is 2.5% lower than the EU average.
Oh, it's very good to welcome the honourable lady back to the House. Laura Pidcock.
Happy New Year, Mr Speaker. Whilst noting the delays to universal credit rollout announced over the weekend, can the Minister please tell us what justification there can possibly be for people who have had to claim universal credit so far not receiving any protections? And will the Secretary of State agree to halt natural migration, compensate every single person who has lost out, and investigate the circumstances that have led people onto universal credit when there has been no change in circumstance?
Well, if the honourable member looked at the feedback we've had from the stakeholders following this week's announcement, they make it absolutely clear that they support universal credit over the legacy system. We know that 700,000 people, of some of the most vulnerable people in our society, are missing out on £2.4 billion worth of support because the legacy system is too complicated. Universal credit gives personalised, tailored support and makes sure people get the support that they need.
From one returning young mum to another, Jo Swinson.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. I do hope that the delay to the full rollout is a sign that the Work and Pensions Secretary is open to making the many changes that are needed to universal credit. Can I urge ministers to look in particular at the harsh repayment timescales for the loans, which has led to my constituent saying, "I should never have taken that 3-month job, it made me worse off." Surely this is the very opposite of what universal credit is trying to achieve.
Thank you, and I also welcome back the honourable member, and this is a real priority for the Secretary of State. We have already made changes. Initially it was 6 months, then 12 months and 16 months, and moving it down from 40% to 30%, and we will continue to review the situation.